But now,
Yeah.
the way the rules are, if you have a Ja Morant, if you have a Anthony Edwards, if you have a Luka, a SGA, if you have these players and you pay them the supermax, now it's set up for you to say, oh, I'm not sure if we want to do that because we're not gonna pay 150, $80 million, $60 million a year in luxury tax. It's
Speaking of
real tricky. It's real tricky.
SGA, did you see like he's agentless now? It seems like he's putting himself in a position to obviously get that super max and do it without an agent of any sort.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me if OKC, man, because OKC is not the type of franchise that paying into the luxury tax for a franchise like that. It's gonna be tough, man. Like they are not
I
the
think that's
type.
why they keep in the picks. That's why they kept the picks, right?
Yeah.
Because of this flexibility. Because they know like Jalen Williams will be on his second contract, so they don't have much to spend on that. Same with Holmgren. That's why they've kept these draft picks so tight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of actually going all in. It's for that reason. But it's kind of interesting how he's kind of taking a new approach to basketball and kind of the business side of things because
Mm-hmm.
he's keeping that 3 to 5% of whatever deal he
Yeah,
signs.
they said it's
Uh,
about $12 million.
yeah,
That's a
so I'm
lot of
like, hey,
money.
good for him, man. Yeah, I guess like obviously people around him, it's gonna handle the money, obviously, but yeah, I'm like, damn,
But
that's an interesting kind of.
yeah, but what about OKC? You think OKC wants to be in the business of paying all that money? Remember, Jalen Williams' contract is going to come up. Chet's contract is going to come up.
Yeah, but Jalen and Chet, they're getting like they're not eligible for the supermax because they're coming off a rookie contract.
But still, that number, right? Let's just say
Yeah,
the number they might qualify for might be 40. Let's say they both qualify for the low end, 30. 30 is low. You have two guys
yeah,
making 30. You have SGA almost making 70. That right there,
yeah,
between just those three players, they're already at the tax level. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like,
Because now you're paying
oh,
what 100,
yeah, 160 already, and the tax level is
100. Yeah,
190. It's 186 around that number. So by the time you fill out the rest of the roster, they're almost at that number anyway. So it's
yeah. I
it's
mean,
it's, it's
that's why
crazy. And wait, hold on. And I just
you
want to
know.
put this into proper perspective. The Detroit Pistons, we all know they've been struggling the past few seasons, right? They've lost in a year. They lost about $50 million in a year. And that's for a franchise that was struggling at the time. Just to put this into proper
Yeah,
perspective. So we're talking about some other smaller markets like Oklahoma City might be liable for a tax bill every single season for about anywhere from 70 to $150 million. That's just to put it into proper perspective. That's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of
yeah.
money.
That's a lot of money, obviously, and Shea's obviously gonna take it. He's winning MVP this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's taking that money, and they're gonna have to pay him. And I was kind of like, damn, like the way he's going about it. I'm like, dude, this is brilliant for him at least as a business aspect. I'm not talking team aspect, business aspect, because they're not trading him. You, I refuse to believe they're trading him, man. And you know what I mean? Like
Now,
that's
okay.
that's
Now they're not trading him. More than likely, right? More than likely, they're probably gonna have to get rid of some of the players on the team by the time he's eligible again for the 10-year supermax. You see the way they structured everything now. SGA is gonna
yeah.
get his contract, but he's gonna be eligible even earlier to get another one.
Yeah, I
So
think that's why Oklahoma has been really conservative with these draft picks, right?
yeah,
Is for like they can always keep content, because now your roster is full of younger deal guys because they're not gonna get the 19-year-old. They're gonna always get the 21, 23-year-old who has much more mileage on their feet and that can kind of transition to that league level really easy.
mm-hmm.
And you know,
Yeah,
that's what it is. That's why I have to give like Presti his flowers in that regard because I don't know if he deliberately thought ahead of time because obviously he stocked up these picks before the CBA, but the reason why he's been so conservative is because of the CBA. Is because he
yep.
knows he has to pay SGA this much. And
Mm-hmm.
we don't know what Chet Holmgren's career will be because right now he's been very injury prone. And we don't, and Jalen Williams has shown to be a solid, top 20 player.
Yep.
So
And
for him, it's like you
and that,
have a lot of things that in your mind is like, man, I have to think 10 to 20 years down the line. And that's the position Oklahoma has put themselves in.
yep. And Jalen Williams' contract extension, if he does extend, it's gonna start at the same time as Chet. It's
Yeah.
gonna start at the same time.
They're both restricted free agents, correct?
Yeah, that's if they don't come to an agreement by next fall. That's if they don't come to an
Yeah.
agreement for an extension. Then they would be restricted. But for now,
Yeah.
they have time to work that out. But again, SGA is going to be under a new number. They have Isaiah Hartenstein under a team option for the final year of $28 million. Then
And obviously
they
Caruso's gonna get extended.
Caruso's already extended until 2029. His money's fully guaranteed.
Oh, okay. And then you got Joe and Wiggins, your role players.
They're gonna lose a lot of those guys. There's just no way
Yeah.
because remember, the season of 2026-27, SGA's new money's gonna kick in, Chet's new money's gonna kick in, Jalen Williams' new money's gonna kick in. So that right there is already gonna put them close to like 180.
Yeah.
And that's only three
Yeah, but I mean-
players. That's only three players.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if Oklahoma City, it's not the type of franchise where, hey, they're paying $100 million plus in luxury tax. They can't justify that. They're not making that type of money down there. They're not charging that crazy prices for tickets.
And it's not a major market city like Los Angeles and these kind of cities, right? So that also plays into a factor.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out when SGA will qualify for his Supermax. He's been in the league since 2000 and how long he's been in the
Same
NBA?
time Luka. He's from the Luka, Jaren Jackson Jr.,
2018.
Trae Young draft class. So we're looking at 2018.
2018. So his 10-year mark will be coming up soon.
Yeah. He's in that draft class. The Luka, the Jaren Jackson Jr., Trae Young draft class.
Yeah, so Oklahoma City, they have until 2028 to figure out what they're gonna do, and then it kicks in for 2028 season, 2029, because SGA, if he keeps up at this pace, he's gonna be eligible to get anywhere from 80 to 100 once he hits the 10-year mark. That's when you're eligible for the super max.
Yeah.
You have to be a 10-year vet. First team all NBA,
First team all NBA, and he has that. I mean, not on top of that, he'll have a fucking MVP award.
Yeah, so it's gonna be real tough to avoid that number, and that's where Dallas was really hesitant with Luka. Man, it's crazy. Hold on.
Dallas is hesitant with Luka.
Dallas was hesitant with Luka on the new extension that was coming up, which would have been $70 million a year. Can you imagine once Luka got up to the 10-year extension, he would have been eligible for 180, anywhere from $85 to $100 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was watching a clip, from the Club Shay Shay, I believe the podcast is Shannon Sharps, where he had Mark Cuban on, where he's like, man, eventually, like, these players will make more than the owners, and he was kind of using Luka as an example because obviously Luka was his franchise player, and he was talking about his justification for selling. And at the time, I'm kind of like, man, get the fuck out of here, Mark Cuban.
He ain't lying about that.
He's a businessman, but he's not lying. It looks like we're gonna see that, and I think the owners are trying to clamp down as much as possible in that kind of.
Wait, remember? Yeah. Once you hit the 10-year mark, you're on SGA's, Luka's level, Jason Tatum's level. You qualify for 35% of your team's cap. That's crazy.
Yeah.
35% of your team's cap for one player.
Yeah.
That's almost wow, man. That's crazy. 35%
awesome.
of the cap for one player. You better be one hell of a player.
We're, like I said, bro, we're kind of looking at like an interesting NBA arc in our lifetimes, and I think we're kind of ahead on the curve. But we're gonna see a lot of these athletic and these guys gonna start covering it a lot sooner because you're gonna see a lot more players being vocal about kind of the interpolitics of basketball. You're gonna see agents being much more transparent too, because agents obviously they're trying to look for a bigger pie, right? They're
Hmm.
gonna be much more transparent about it. You're gonna get a lot of factors that kind of start being transparent about their grievances and the player union, the coaching union, and all that stuff. And also, speaking of unions, I don't know, but I also wanted to talk about like the grading system Steph Curry entertained. I don't know if you heard about that,
The grading system. What you mean?
about the referee grading system.
There's a referee grading system from who?
No, he wants to implement that.
Oh, and the league ain't gonna let him do that.
Yeah, he wants the league to implement that, and I'm like, man, that's
Too.
also a good thing. But Silver kind of downplayed it out. He's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have players not bitch about the refs. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's an interesting shot at your players,
Not and that
He was
also.
tongue in cheek, but you could tell like it's
Mhm.
something that for sure ever came across his mind because it was a Rachel Nichols question. That's not a some Sacramento Bee or some Houston Chronicle question. That's a big, national basketball media question.
Yeah, they want to keep the referees out of the spotlight as possible because I'm surprised the league has their names listed. I don't think the league should be as transparent about that because now they welcome in gambling, which is the underworld. They're welcoming a
Now you
lot of
got like,
things of the underworld into the league. And I'm just like, you don't want these
yeah,
people's
like,
full names. Because remember, everyone's information is in databases, whether you go to your bank, you go to your local
yeah.
hospital. There's people hacking into
Dude, you
these
sign up for
things.
Instagram.
Yeah.
You sign up on Instagram. You know what I mean?
And
Just Discord, whatever.
and the
Yeah.
wrong people that are trying to fix games, hey, the underworld is involved in gambling. And don't be surprised if one of these referees are at like a dinner for a birthday and then someone shows up and they're making certain threats like, hey, you better do this, or they show up to their
Yeah.
house. These are the types of things they're opening, the people that work for them up to. And
Yeah.
it gets tricky. It gets tricky. I feel like the relationship between the refs and the fans, they need to be like one of those NBA 2K generic players where it's just number 99. You don't even know the name. Yeah,
Yeah. The
it needs to
2K
be like
shoes and
that.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Bro,
like what's that referee? Not Donahue. What's the referee? The one that
Tim
Scott Foster.
Donahue.
Nah, the one that's famous in the league that everyone hates. Scott
Oh, Scott
Foster.
Foster. The one
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Paul, Chris Paul one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't need more of that, man. Like, there's too much of a profile in this guy. He shouldn't his personality shouldn't be known by fans. These referees need
Yeah.
to need to be
Yeah. I mean, people
anonymous.
shouldn't bet, people shouldn't bet like for example, oh, Chris Paul's playing in a game officiated by Scott Foster. That shouldn't be public knowledge.
Hmm. Yeah, it's too much of that going on in the league. That's why
Yeah.
it sounds good, but there's a lot of safety. There's a lot of safety concerns, man, because the fans, not even the fans, some people go crazy over their parlays and their bets, and
Oh, parlays is crazy. The parlay culture is ruining basketball, in my
yeah,
opinion, man.
and it,
You
and it,
saw like the
yeah.
Terry Rozier was able to clear his name, but that Jonte Porter story,
Yeah, but look at
that's crazy.
Yeah, but they're saying it's more than just Terry Rozier. They're saying it's not
Oh,
just
for
him.
sure, there's a lot more players. There's
Yeah,
for sure a lot more players. Oh,
um,
100%.
and then some of these guys they're getting the league right
You're
now.
getting gifts and all that stuff.
No, it's not
Yeah.
even that. The players, some of the players, because of their personality with the game, some of them have a certain adrenaline rush, and there's something about these guys once they come into this influx of cash, they're hitting up the casinos in a different way. Because I remember what's his name, Big Baby Davis. He recently gave an interview because he's about to do Fed time for doing fraud against the league's medical policy. He talked about how he
Yeah.
didn't know that the gambling casinos were setting him up for a trap. They gave him a credit to gamble. He said he lost 100,000, but he had to give them 200,000. So it's easy for them to go into debt. He said it caught him by surprise that he had to give up another 100 on top. So it's easy for these guys to get into to debt with the casinos, or even
No,
just gambling
100%.
debt in general. If the casinos are operating like that, can you imagine an underground bookie that's
Oh, he's
connected
more
to,
dirty than that.
yeah, or
Because there's no regulation.
yeah,
Yeah.
or a bookie that's connected to certain guys in the streets. Like these guys could really
Yeah.
get caught up, and that's what seems like it happened to DeJounte Porter. He got caught up, man, and they forced him to do what he did. He owed a lot of money. He couldn't get out of it. He couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny with the Jonte Porter situation, that a lot of, you know, I would say casuals to the whole gambling thing, what got exposed to all that is that all these casinos and DraftKings and FanDuel or whatever, and all these companies, they're all in collusion. They all in collusion, and they hire third-party companies that work with all of them. So when someone makes an unusual bet, they get notified. And then if you're and also if you're winning too much, anything you do, a certain amount of winning that you have, they change the odds on your phone for when you place new bets. They make it harder for you to bet. Yeah. They're keeping track of what everyone's doing. So it's not like you're gonna rig the whole system. Even if you're a good gambler, it's designed for them to even at some point cancel your bets. Be like, oh no, we're not taking bets from you. You know, you win, you know, 70% of the time. We're not taking bets from you. Like it's set up that
they're trying to make their money.
Yeah,
they're trying to make their money.
I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen ESPN and other major media outlets report too much on the gambling situation with Jonte Porter. They really just kind of talked about the surface level. Oh, he got caught. He's facing X amount of years.
The NBA does not want to lose the NBA does not want to lose sponsors, but bro, I think sports and gambling is a bad kind of mixture, because we've seen the downfall of boxing. You can really put it on gambling.
No, I think they should do it, but the way they're doing it right now, it's too in your face. You know what I mean? It's too in your face, and then they're too kiddie about it. The ads that they run, I'm hearing like the same voices I hear for children commercials. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, like you see Chuck and Kenny kind of put their odds and all that stuff out in TNT. I'm like, man,
bro, they're not putting no odds, man.
I think they've put odds, man.
Nah, if they put odds, it's with the sports books money. These guys are not really betting like that.
Of course. No, they're not doing it. But still, like, who's watching their content is a 15-year-old, 20, like really of teenage to like a teenage impersonable
you know what it is? The teenage group is the most vulnerable. Teenage and I would say early 20s.
They're still like finding themselves, right? And they find themselves through other means, right? You find themselves through like watching basketball because their friends watch basketball, or watching NFL because their friends watch NFL, and kind of they build their communities based off that. And that is something that's, you know, kind of scary to think about, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this gets real tricky with Silver in this situation. But again, can you imagine the amount of gambling licenses that they have from around the world when all this thing goes completely global with streaming? It's a lot of money to be made. That's why they need the All-Star game to be, you know, relevant, man. People gonna be gambling on that. The league have licenses for that. And it's just it keeps going.
Tournaments.
Yeah. It just keeps going on and on and on and on.